Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipshetz, managing editor of the National Newsroom at Lee, and co-host of the program with Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal and a longtime entertainment reporter. Bruce, how you doing? We're going to talk a little bit of music today.
I was vinyl before vinyl became cool.
You were.
How's that for?
Yeah.
In the old days, we used to, and 45s.
Mm-hmm.
I can go back to that too. I also those 78s.
Oh, yeah. Those aren't made out of vinyl, though.
No, but I can go back to that kind of format for music.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ancient, in other words. But I am not a collector. You are a collector of vinyl.
I am, yeah.
And I have records, but I don't. I have a turntable, but I don't play them. I'm not into that, and it's nothing wrong with that. I don't need that hiss or that quality that you get from it. But you do.
I do.
You like all that.
I do. And well, first off, if you clean your records, then the hiss goes away. So that's
the problem. Okay.
There is a lot of, I will say, there is a lot of work. Like, there's this saying that if you get your kids collecting records, they won't have money for drugs. Have you ever heard that one?
Is that your excuse now?
Yeah, it's not an inexpensive hobby. I'll just put it to you that way. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. The upkeep. It's not necessarily for everybody, but it's a lot of fun. Physical media. I mean, I actually just bought a few 8-tracks a week ago. I was in a Goodwill and picked up a Paul Simon and a Carpenter's 8-track, and some good stuff there.
Well. Okay, what about the temperature? Do you have to have it at a certain level? Because I remember records getting really warpy.
Yeah, I mean, don't leave them in the sun. That's always.
Oh, that's my problem.
Yes, yeah. Don't allow direct sunlight. I mean, my listening space.
Remember how they were
right? Yeah, my listening space is in my basement, so it's not really an issue, but. It's just you don't want your house changing temperatures rapidly one way or the other. You'll hear people say like, oh, because you'll see people on the internet, they have these huge finds in like storage lockers and stuff. And people are like, oh, they've been in a hot storage locker. They're probably all warped. Well, no, they probably aren't, because those storage lockers aren't going from like 30 degrees to 80 degrees in 3 minutes. They're it's warming up gradually over the course of the day, and then at night the temperature goes down gradually. So it's direct sunlight is not good. Leaving them under pressure can make them warped. I mean, you don't leave a stack of them horizontally. It's not good. Stack them vertically.
So I shouldn't put one on the top of the other one?
You should not, no. Thing? But leaving them there for a little while isn't a big deal. Leaving them for weeks maybe, but.
Okay, then how anal are you? Do you have them all alphabetized, or how do you?
Yeah, I have them.
So if
on shelves, I have them organized, like A to Z, by last name. So, Led Zeppelin is with the L's, Bruce Springsteen is with the S's. The Beatles is in the B's because I don't go by the.
You don't do the.
No.
Okay.
No. I've been to some record stores that'll organize by first name, and that drives me crazy. Like, like the Bob Dylans are under B instead of D. And I will walk out of your record store if you organize that way, because that's just not right.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a friend who had every one of the Beatles albums in mint condition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like he knew enough back in those days not to play them. He also bought another one to play them.
Okay.
But it was remarkable. And he had every one of the ones that you hear about, and then they disappeared.
Oh, no.
Now, wouldn't that just be a knife to the stomach right there? They're not there anymore.
Yeah.
But do you do that for money purposes? Do you collect for the value of it? Or
no. I collect because I listen to music.
Enjoyment.
I do, yeah. I know how much my collection is worth, and it's worth a lot. But it's not something that like I'm like, hey, look at I'm gonna buy this because I know it's gonna accrue value. I mean, I know when I buy certain things, like this will probably go up in value, but I don't, buy it for the purpose of.
You won't buy a group there or an individual artist that you don't like.
Correct. Everything I buy, I buy to listen to.
Okay, let's flip through the albums.
Yep.
And we get to the B's or the J's.
It would be the
Billy
J's.
Joel
yes, Billy Joel is under the J's.
And do you have all of them, or just certain ones?
Yeah, I actually have his discography. I had several of his individual albums, and then a few years ago he released them in box sets. There was like a volume 1 that had his early versions, and then volume 2 is kind of like early to mid 80s through when he stopped recording, and it included that classical piano album also that he did. So yeah, I have all Billy Joel stuff. I like Billy Joel.
So when you get to
yeah,
I love Billy Joel. When you get to a box set, though, then do you get rid of the other ones, or is that the one I play, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, if I get duplicates, I pull out the dupes and then I put them in another box with the intention to sell them. But the box just keeps getting filled up because I'm too lazy to, go through the effort of listing them online. I do have a web store like ready to activate with all the records I'm planning to sell, but I haven't quite gotten there yet.
And then I suppose you have to have the mailers that you have to put them in.
Yeah, I have. I save the ones that they come in a lot of times and have them set aside. So I'm all set. Like when my little vinyl store is ready to go to kind of thin the herd a little bit, I am set and ready to go. It's just getting there is the problem.
Terry's tunes, they're ready for you.
You're ready.
Does your wife say, I don't want to even see this stuff? Is she like...
She just avoids the basement. That's okay. Safe bet.
It probably don't go in the basement.
Don't go in
because
the basement.
You bought too much. Okay, Billy Joel though.
Yeah,
I have always liked Billy Joel. Yeah. I have most of his albums. I don't have all of them.
Okay.
I remember seeing that one where he had no shoes on.
Okay.
And it was black and white. Is it called The Stranger? Is that the one?
Yeah, I think so.
And I was just enamored with it. I think it has. Oh boy, I'm just throwing this out there. My favorite song ever.
Which
Don't Go Changing.
Oh,
that one.
Yeah.
Just the Way You Are.
Just the Way You Are.
I think that's on there. I think it is. But anyway, I would play that one forever just for that one song.
Yeah. No, that is on The Stranger. Yep.
So I did get it. Okay, I was right. But now they've had a documentary, a 2-part documentary.
Right.
Is it 2? 2.
It is 2. Yeah, about 2 hours each episode.
And I haven't seen it yet, but you have.
I did.
What, did it deserve 2 parts, or is one enough?
So they covered his whole career. So I guess from that standpoint, 2 parts was necessary. I would say there's been a lot of rock documentaries in the past, like the Led Zeppelin one that I just watched, that largely focused on the early chunk of their career. When you think back to the Martin Scorsese documentary about Bob Dylan, that one only focused in on his very early portion of his career. So you can do a 2-hour documentary when you're narrowing the focus. The fact that they covered from his childhood up until basically now, you needed 2 parts because otherwise you'd just be jamming everything in. So it was very comprehensive. I mean, they went through kind of like album by album how they got together. They talked to other musicians, so like Sting was in there, Nas is in it. I think John Mellencamp may have made an appearance.
Elton John?
No, he was not in it, and I think they had a bit of a falling out, which is kind of mentioned late in the documentary.
Well, I saw him in concert where they switched each other's songs.
Right.
They did. One would do one song, one would do the other, and I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah.
But, hey, they're big stars.
Yeah.
They can do that kind of stuff.
But yeah, they had a lot of folks coming in and just talking. Like Paul McCartney, they talked to him and Paul, because he's such a pop focused writer, really has a great appreciation for Billy Joel's work. So it was really fascinating hearing from those folks. A lot of music critics were in it, from USA Today. I think it was like Anthony DeCurtis, who used to write for Rolling Stone, was in it. Stephen Hayden, who's actually a music critic I used to work with. He's in the documentary. He's been in quite a few documentaries. It's kind of funny. Like, here's a guy I remember like going out and having to cover like Saturday cops shift stuff when he was working at the Post Crescent in Appleton, Wisconsin. Is now a pretty well-known music critic and author. But, so they talked to a lot of different folks. They also had all 4 of his wives, like his current wife as well as his 3 ex-wives, all talked. And, regarding the wives, they all seem to still really have a great deal of love and respect for him. It seems like alcohol.
Or they edited that out.
Or they edited it out. But no, his first wife, who he basically stole from his best friend, she was his early manager, and it was basically just couldn't function being like, I can't be your manager and then also your wife. It's just too much going on.
You stay on as the manager after they divorced?
No, she left, and then her brother, against her advisement, became his manager, and that did not go well for Billy Joel's finances, and it became a huge part of part 2 of the documentary.
Was he dismissed at any point as being too pop?
Yes, and that's kind of what the critics in the documentary talked about, was that he was either too pop, or he bound, like the other criticism you'll hear of a lot of musicians that kind of changed their sound, is that he's too all over the place. Like, he's doing pop this time. You remember the that album he did that had it was more of like a doo-wop album, right? It was
right.
Uptown Girl was on it, and it was called An Innocent Man, and it came out in 1983. He was looking for kind of that Frankie Valli and Four Seasons kind of sound. And, in 1983, when people are doing punk and new wave, like, that's not really what people are listening to, but he's just like, hey, that's what I want to do. And his fans love it. I mean, I don't want to say Billy Joel. Billy Joel's not my favorite musician. And Billy Joel is somebody who I'm not going to sit there and listen to all the time. But there's also so many Billy Joel songs I just love, because they're just great pop songs. It's their music. Yeah. You could throw them on, like Moving Out, Anthony's song, like, Heart Attack, like who doesn't want to listen to that song? It's a fun one, or Scenes from Italian Restaurant, or Piano Man. I mean, these are just classic Billy Joel songs. They actually went into how he wrote Piano Man, because it's basically autobiographical, because he was his first manager or producer, Artie Ripp. He signed his contract with them, and like every musician of the time, it was a terrible contract. Like, he basically was getting no money. So while he was fighting with his manager and producer, Artie Ripp, at the time, he was playing at a piano bar under a different name. He was like Bill Martin instead of, Billy Joel. And, he'd be playing at the piano, and it was in LA. So people would come in and were like, you're pretty good. I'll sign you to a recording contract. And he'd be like, I don't want to do that. I just like playing piano bar. But it went into, the personalities that he was seeing night in and night out actually became part of that song. So, it reflected a time in his life, which was fascinating. His song, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, were basically, he was writing about kind of, the people he grew up with in, around his time from Long Island, and kind of what happened to them. His song Goodnight Saigon, which is about the Vietnam War. He had friends, he didn't go to Vietnam, but a lot of his friends did, and asked him, to write a song about it. So that was his response. So there's a lot of, it was a really fascinating documentary that got into how he was writing these songs, and the genesis and all that. But there was really some interesting background stuff too. Did you know, like, he's basically first generation American?
Oh, wow.
His dad grew up in Nazi Germany. His family is Jewish. His grandfather owned a clothing factory in Nuremberg. So they basically like grew up next to the rallies, Hitler's rallies in Nuremberg. And at some point, you know, the Nazis said Jews can't own businesses, so they were forced to sell. They fled to Switzerland before, you know, they were arrested. But the factory that Billy Joel's grandfather owned ultimately made those striped uniforms that got sent to the concentration camps, which was just a fascinating fact. His dad came to America, married his mom. They divorced. He was not happy living in America, so he went back to Europe. He has a half brother who's a conductor. So he's, you know, the music runs through the veins through the Joel siblings, even though they didn't grow up together. So he's gotten to know his half brother. And it sounds like, and his half brother said this in the documentary, like, Dad was really proud of you. Like, Billy, I don't think believes that, but because they didn't have much of a relationship, they connected when he became a big pop star and was touring in Europe, but he didn't necessarily have a close relationship with his dad at all. But from what his half brother was saying, like, you know, yeah, Dad followed your career and was very proud of you. It's just, he just wasn't good at showing it. So it was interesting.
Do they mention moving out, the Broadway musical that was done with his stuff?
No, it really didn't touch into that. It was more just the recording of his albums, his financial issues, his multiple marriages was a big focus.
How about his health?
His what? His health?
His health, yeah.
Yeah, they got into his alcoholism, and which you know has been a battle for him. He had crashes, like he crashed his car multiple times. He was nearly killed in a motorcycle accident. You know, so they got into a lot of that kind of stuff. They got into, you know, some of the disputes he had. He had a longtime drummer, Liberty DeVito, who was in his band forever, and they kind of had a parting of ways. They've since reconciled, which is good, but they had issues for a while that they got into. He obviously stopped recording. He just was done with writing songs, and he went on to tour for a while, and they got into his, like, basically a 10-year residency at Madison Square Garden. But
will he ever play again, do you think?
He was on tour recently, but then had more health issues. But they didn't get into that at all. My sense is that this documentary was kind of wrapped up maybe a year ago, because they didn't touch on the recent health and the postponement of his shows, and they didn't get into his new song. Did you know that he actually wrote a song and recorded a song for the first time in like 30 years a year ago?
Wow.
So
wow.
Yeah, so they released a 7-inch single. He co-wrote it with another musician, but it was his first pop song since the early 90s. But there was no mention of it. So it made me think that this documentary has been kind of in the can for a while, and they just released it now.
So should I see it?
Yes. Yeah, if you like Billy Joel, it's worth checking out. It's a little long. It's like, you know, it's 4 hours basically. So
but isn't that the way it is with those stars?
They are.
How long was his documentary? I want to be an hour longer.
Yeah.
So they
exactly.
You know, they just negotiate like that,
yeah.
I guess. I got something for you to look for.
Oh, yeah?
It will be coming to theaters soon.
Okay.
And it's set near me. You know Wall Drug,
oh,
right?
Yeah, of course.
Wall Drug is, you got to go there. You got to stop there. But it's not the only thing that Wall has. In fact, a filmmaker, Kate Beecroft, was driving through that area looking for stories because she was told there were good stories to be found in South Dakota. And I can vouch for her. She's right. But she stopped at this ranch where Tabitha Zimiga is kind of taking care of horses that nobody wants. The ones that are too wild or too, something's
No.
wrong with them,
Okay.
and she tames it and turns them into, you know, a real asset, something you want. She also fosters children, and she has a lot of kids that she kind of takes in when their parents throw up their hands and say, I don't want anything to do with you. Well, Kate decided that she would stay there for a while and kind of see if there's a story here that she could make as a film. Um, well, it turns out she was there 3 years.
Wow.
3 years, kind of, as she says, embedding with the family. And she got enough of a story that she was able to create a script for a film that she calls docufiction,
Okay.
where it's part documentary, part fiction. And then she cast Tabitha, her daughter Porscha, a lot of the people around them in roles as themselves, and hired two real actors, if you will, to play some other characters. And then she filmed this. She had 26 days to film the movie, and it was interesting how they all kind of were in for this.
Okay.
They wanted to do it, even though they had no experience. I got a chance to talk to Kate, Tabitha, and Porscha about the process and what it was like for them and what the future could be for them. Interestingly, Tabitha shaves half of her hair. And when her daughter goes riding horses, because she's just an excellent rider, she does stunts on horses and all that. And you'll see that in the film. But she shaves her head as a warrior.
Wow.
And mom still does it. Porscha says, I do it when I'm hot. So here's my shot at talking with them for East of Wall, which is coming soon to a theater near you. So say hello to Kate, Tabitha, and Porscha. Hey, how are you all today? I hope good, because I had such a great time watching this. I was just curious, was it really scripted, or was it impromptu or ad-libbed, or how did that work out?
So yeah, I mean, the genre is docufiction. So it is inspired by their lives, and I wove the script together by moments. I lived with them for 3 years, so there was things that before I even wrote this script and before we started shooting. So it's moments that I've witnessed with them in their lives, also things that they've told me from the past, and then kind of weave a little bit of fiction through there. But yeah, I would say, it's fully scripted, except for there's a scene with the women by the fire that is improvised. And I'm the kind of director who I have a lot of respect for actors. So if they wanted to change lines, if they were like, oh, let's do this kind of version of the scene instead, fantastic, because, they're the ones who are telling the story and the audience.
Then Tabitha and Porscha, did you memorize the lines? How was that? Was it easy?
It was easier than we thought.
Yeah, it was a lot easier than we thought. She gave us a script. She's like, here you go. Memorize these.
Yeah, we got these little things called sides. And that was what you were supposed to have ready for the next day, Yep. And it was like the whole scene, you'd have to have your lines ready for each part of that scene to fall into place just right.
Well, it's marvelous. You guys are great actors. Do you consider that you'll go on and do more, or was this just it?
I hope we go on and do more.
Yep.
And are we moving out to California? Is that the next step?
No.
Maybe just during the winter.
Did you think when she was doing all this, oh, this is not going to happen, there's not going to be anything from this? Did you get that feeling when, 3 years, here we are?
Yeah, well, really 5.5 now.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's a weird thing to say. I don't really look forward to anything. I try not to I don't try to get my hopes up over things just to be disappointed. But I never ever felt like Kate was blowing smoke either to me, So I just let it play out, and I watched her do the whole thing. It was amazing.
So Kate, during those 3 years, would you record things? Would you, shoot some photography with this, or what would you do? And did it finish? Was it in the final product too?
Yeah, I was out there really with no camera. I just wanted to kind of embed myself into their life and build that trust and like see how they run a ranch. Because if I'm gonna write, if I'm gonna write their ranch and their experience, I better get it right. So that was my main job as a director. When I had cameras, sometimes I'd fly out my DP for certain things. And a couple of those shots made it into the film. There's a couple of flashback shots of Porscha when she's really young. So those made it in the film, and some like, all of a sudden I'm like, I wish I had a shot of the dogs. And I'd be like, wait, I have one. And so I'd go through my archive and bring something out. But the film was shot in 26 days.
Wow.
So it was like a SAG union film. So it had to be shot in 26 days. There was overtime there, so it wasn't like shot like a documentary at all.
So how do you prepare please don't see this as a diss or anything, but the real actors that are coming in for this kind of a situation, how do you prepare them?
You lock the dogs up.
Lock the dogs up. Right. It all comes down to casting, right? So, just really choosing people who are just incredibly empathetic and patient, and people who are like actors who are there to really they love storytelling. They love storytelling. They don't love themselves. They're not going to like eat up the whole scene, because they were just, honestly, they were just there because they wanted to be a part of telling Tabby's story.
Well, what did you think of Jennifer? Did she fit in?
We love her so much.
Sweetest woman.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Her and Scoot both, like, we are so honored to be able to work next to them and to be able to bounce off of their acting. They just amplified ours.
So when you say goodbye to these people, do you think that's over, or do you think, no, we'll have...
No, we Jennifer and Scoot. Like, I just texted Scoot last night. I have Jennifer on Snapchat.
So they're still friends?
Yes. We talk a lot, actually. Jennifer.
Okay. What's the most Hollywood thing you guys have done since this has been done?
Probably red carpets.
Yeah. Getting our hair and makeup done.
Yeah, somebody else doing our hair and makeup for us.
So what do the folks at home think about it?
Well, they haven't seen it yet, most of them. Everybody's just, they seem excited and seem like they want to go out and see it.
Yeah, we're having a premiere, South Dakota premiere at the State Theater in Sioux Falls. We sold out right away, which was exciting. We have that on the 12th, and then we're doing a little cast and crew screening in Rapid, and then we're going to be in theaters everywhere that next day on the 15th. So, I'm really excited for South Dakota to see this film, and to hopefully they see that their beautiful state has been.
The photography is incredible. It really makes South Dakota look great. The haircut that you have, where does it? Do you still have? You do, Ari, you do, but Porscha, you don't. Oh, okay. Where does that come from? What inspires that?
I just got it because my hair is really thick and it's hot.
I don't know. I guess it's just inspired by you can do whatever you want,
But Kate didn't do it. Come on, Kate. What's the deal?
Oh, right. They're just so much more badass and cooler than I am.
Well, what's the next project? Have you already started thinking of that or not yet?
Yeah, I have. My next project is very different from East of Wall, but it still has, it's not docufiction. But it still has the same themes of a little bit of like, I play with some magical realism in East of Wall, so I have that in my next project. And then also, just making a film about really strong women of all ages. That's really important to me. Because I think that in Hollywood, there's a couple age gaps where it's like, oh, there's nothing for you here. Sorry, you either have to be an old woman or you have to be like a hot 20-year-old. And I love to write for the women in between, So that's something that I will always take with me.
Well, great good luck with this. I hope it's a huge hit for you. It was so fun to see an area that I know very well come off so well on the screen. So you guys, good luck, and don't go Hollywood on me, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, Bruce, thank you for that interview. Sounds like a really interesting movie. I mean, it's sort of, to a degree, another film was almost like, it almost felt like a documentary of sorts, and that was Nomadland, which also took place in that area.
And she worked at Wall Drug.
And Wall Drug. There you go.
But I think there's a vast. Kevin Costner tapped into it because he saw how much physical beauty there is in South Dakota, and he was planning to do a lot of films there.
Right.
He did Dances with Wolves there. He did Field of Dreams here in Iowa. So he saw that there is something here, but I think a lot of them aren't set up for film production.
Yeah.
So it has to be something like this that an independent spots it and says, let's go for it. But when you see the visuals, you go, oh my God, I didn't realize South Dakota was that beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's a wonderfully scenic state. And I do remember when I drove through there 2 years ago, seeing there's somewhere that has it's like a Kevin Costner almost museum. It has like the Dances with Wolves.
There's a restaurant.
Set piece. Yeah. So it still has a presence. Wall Drug, it's a fun place to visit. The donuts there, that's always good too. The donut shop.
And free ice water.
Free ice water, yeah. And
I think it's 5-cent coffee.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a neat little place. Check it out.
As a kid, I was always looking at stuff like agates and other kinds of souvenirs that you take home.
Mm-hmm.
And where is that crap now?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But you have to stop at Wall Drug if you go to Wall.
Definitely.
And now you might want to take a little trip east of Wall and see what's there.
Right. So what are we thinking in the next week or so about?
Next week, we're going to look at new movies.
Oh.
I have a huge list of new movies that are coming out this fall. And I have some observations about those movies. And certainly, I think a lot of these things are built on politics.
Oh.
You can see the politics of the directors and the filmmakers. But we'll talk about new movies, the fall movies, next week, because we're getting very close to talking about, so you better get watching.
Yep.
The Emmy winners. The Emmys are coming very close.
Right. Well, there you go.
So that's what we've got next week. New movies, and then it's probably going to be Emmys after that.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks again for listening, and we will be back again next week with another episode of Streamed and Screened.